I'm not worried about purchasing firearms. You know as well as I do, there are no laws limiting felons from firearms. That's stupid bull. You'll have to execute me or whatever and send me to my angels, and I'll be back in 3 days, and we'll just see what happens.
Welcome to Solving Citizen Legal Encounters. All right, today we're back in Judge Crum Court with Mr. Watts again, okay? You know, watching Mr. Watts is always a hilarious scene or something going on, especially what you just seen in the preview. Now, before we get into the video, I have to welcome one of the new members by the name of Chris, last name M. Welcome to the membership. Check out the community post. There's something over there for you to look into, okay? All right, now, this sovereign citizen has filed so many motions. That's why his court case has been going on for over 2 years, okay? Now, here's all the motions I have right here to show you. There's 3 pages of motions that were generated that I was able to get my hands on. And we're going to go through some of those motions today in this hearing. When you go into the video, it's going to be everything that you want to see, okay? I got everything laid out for you, so let's go.
All right, we'll go on the record. This is in the District Court of Butler County, Kansas. Case is entitled State of Kansas versus James Brent Watts, case number 22 CR 83.
Your Honor, James Watts has standby counsel for James B. Watts, who is acting pro se.
That's correct. James Brent Watts is appearing pro se. He's representing himself. I scheduled this hearing today to take up several motions that have been filed by defendant Watts. I'm just going to go through these in the order that they appear. The first one is a motion for continuance of the February 4th trial and the January 31st pretrial conference. Defendant Watts, are you still seeking a continuance of the upcoming trial?
Yeah, I have had no access to evidence. James R. Watts played a trick. He brought a phone number by me, and he knows dang well that arms list won't answer a collect call. I wanted addresses and phone numbers. Now, the phone numbers, if I went to Larned, I could use those up there. But anyway, I can't use them here. But anyway, I've had no access to get anything. Nothing's changed since the continuance was granted last time. I haven't even got glasses, so I can't see. And then they've also been refusing medical. The dizziness and stuff from the negative energy being inflicted to me is getting worse. But anyway, no, I have not got access to anything. I haven't even got the transcript. I wanted a copy of the transcript to go over. I need a copy of my grandfather's will. All firearms were left to me. So Dad saying that firearms on there were left to him. No, and all those firearms are newer than could possibly be left on that will. They're to be used.
Well, you're kind of jumping around a little bit, so let's come back to that motion. One of the other motions that you filed is the motion it's titled Motion for My Required Evidence of a Copy of My Grandfather Brent Bolland's Will, listing what was all left to me, including all firearms. Where is this will located?
My parents would have a copy of it, or maybe even several. I don't know. It would be there, and what do they keep them at? Court? Is it? Well, I don't know. They keep them somewhere in the county building, I thought too. But anyway,
was this a will that was admitted through a probate estate here in Butler County?
It set up a trust for me and everything. Yeah, it was an official will, and all firearms were left to me. They've always been left to me. Nothing in the way of firearms was left to Dad. I don't know what all was left to Dad, but
I'm not sure what power the court has to produce a copy of this will when we don't know where it is.
Oh, my parents have a copy. They absolutely have a copy somewhere. I don't know where they put it. It'd be possibly in the file cabinet downstairs. Probably that's where it's at. They have a copy. I think I had one years ago, but everything's gotten changed around. I mean, they've switched houses and everything else. a lot of stuff's been thrown away. So I don't know where my copy was. I absolutely had one sent to me and everything. Went through it, and they had one.
Judge,
Go ahead, Ms. Pierce.
um, I believe that Mr. and Mrs. James B. Watts' mom and dad have inquired into the assistance of Mr. Gail Jensen. I notice he's not here. I don't know if that has been information that's been provided to Mr. Watts, James R. Watts. But some of what the defendant is asking for might be like the will, those kinds of things might be, we might get assistance from Mr. Jensen if in fact there is the ability to get it. I don't know anything about it. It's kind of odd that Mr. Defendant hasn't asked his parents for it. I'm sure they would be willing to provide that, but I don't think that the court has, no court nor do the state have the authority to subpoena that or to get that because it's not part of this case. But as I said, I think we've all kind of went way above and beyond in trying to assist the defendant in getting everything he needs. And I think that Mr. Jensen may be able to assist if in fact Mr. Watts's parents have in fact hired them to assist. But again, he's not here today. So, and I don't know if that's because he didn't know about this hearing because I didn't inform him because I just didn't think about it.
Okay, well, I doubt the court notified him because I had no idea that he may be assisting them in the case. Attorney Watts, do you know anything about this will?
I have not asked my parents because they're defendants here, and I don't think I've asked for stuff in the past. They haven't done nothing. So I've got also my bank records and stuff showing that my cash on hand. I asked for that a long time ago. They haven't done it. They're witnesses in this case for the prosecution. So I don't think, I think they're bothered by getting me anything. So, but stuff has been asked for.
Right, let me address Attorney Watts. Attorney Watts, do you have any knowledge about this will?
I would not, Your Honor. I would note that Mr. Watts has a subpoena power. He would have the ability to request a subpoena, and I'm certain that as he's acting pro se, if he were to request a subpoena from the court would be glad to grant that. He could subpoena that will and send that subpoena to his parents or his parents' attorney. And under that subpoena power, they would have the obligation to provide that document if they have it. He has subpoena power for bank records. He has subpoena power for any of these documents he wishes. He simply has to issue the appropriate subpoena.
I'll try that then. I'll get busy and try to subpoena stuff, but
And Defendant Watts, the court doesn't have the authority to order your parents to produce this will. That's something that they can either hand over to you voluntarily or not. But I can't order them to produce the will.
so that's denying me evidence. I mean, if you get a court case going where everybody has the evidence as witnesses against you and they don't want to do it, that's not anything by God at all. No, you get all
as Attorney Watts stated, if you issue a proper subpoena, that may be an avenue from which you could obtain this will. But barring that, I don't have the authority to order your parents to produce this will. I'm going to take up another motion that you filed. This one's titled Motion to Take Notice that Attorney James R. Watts visited me at the jail October 10th, 2024, Thursday around 2:15 p.m. and only left a phone number for arms list, which requires a regular phone as businesses will not collect inmate calls from jails. So you've touched on this before. Is there anything else you'd like to say in support of this motion?
Well, I requested addresses and phone numbers. Like I said, if I go to Larner's, and that could very well happen again, I can use phone numbers up there. So for me to have them, but here I would have to have the address and enough time to get all correspondence.
Do you have an address, Attorney Watts, to go along with the phone number you've provided him?
I do not, Your Honor. And I think the contact information they have is a phone. Now, they mentioned that they do not collect phone calls. I think Mr. Watts does have some money on his books to be able to make direct calls.
Right now, I don't. I'm having trouble getting money in. My parents have to come to town and put it on the machine up here, and it don't take but $100 a time, and they don't make it to town that much. So money is at times a problem to get, and I don't know for sure how. I don't have access to lieutenants or anybody of any authority in my pod. I'm in B pod, and have seen the last few days. Thomas has been around because she's on first shift. But anyway, I haven't seen her much at all until recently. I've seen her a couple times, but I'm not sure how I would get money on the phone to make a phone call. I would have to talk to them to verify they keep no records. Newspapers and everything keep records. I'm sure if the CIA, FBI, or something like that wanted the information, they'd have access to something. So I would have to hear that myself. I don't trust this James R. Watts attorney at all. You know as well as I do in the Bible, attorneys are the worst, evilest, and wickedest there are. They always trick, fool, deceive. I've had no luck with attorneys. I had them up at Chase County allow lies to put me in jail or prison for a couple of years. They aren't worth a damn.
All right. Well, it sounds like Attorney Watts has attempted to provide you the information regarding that request. All right. The next motion I'll address it's titled Motion for Court Orders to Involved People that I have access to all of my required evidence for court proceedings and or trial. So you may make argument on that motion at this time.
Well, if you're saying we can't order it, I'll have to see about the subpoenas. It's going to cost in damages. I'll want at least $100 billion every word. And it's going to be paid in gold at $5 an ounce. Laugh that up. I determine what the price of gold is. And my cases from Chase County and Butler County before are still going on. They're tripling. Damages are tripling per day. They don't triple every day, but there's damages every day. It's add up every day.
What evidence are you claiming you have not been provided?
I purchased all those dang firearms through my phones, off arms list, and there was only one or two I purchased out of the Wichita Eagle. That bull barrel AR-15 in 2006 probably is probably in there, or might be the first of 2007. That bull barrel AR-15 DPMS was purchased out of the Wichita paper. They would have access to that ad. The rest of them were purchased through arms list. I'm not worried about purchasing firearms. You know as well as I do, there are no laws limiting felons from firearms. In the 1930s, they established a National Firearms Act. When the United States went bankrupt, the bankers made them do that. That's stupid bullshit.
Well, Mr. Watts, what evidence?
I never will not have firearms. And I'm having machine guns. Two of those were fully automatics. I'm not dealing with this at all. So you'll have to execute me or whatever and send me to my angels, and I'll be back in 3 days, and we'll just see what happens.
Right. Attorney Watts, have you been able to give Defendant Watts access to the discovery you've received from the state?
Your Honor, I have forwarded the discovery I've received from the state to Mr. Watts. In terms of the records and documents that I've received, they have all been copied and forwarded to Mr. Watts.
And Defendant Watts, have you received copies of that discovery?
Yeah, but we've already been through this. The things I need weren't in there, and they're just playing around. So It's purely satanic. You can tell what all's going on here. I've been through courts before.
Ms. Pierce, has your office provided the discovery that you have to Attorney Watts?
I believe we've provided everything. I did have, I did have Bobby Albert with the sheriff's office go back and see if we could get some model numbers, serial numbers, things of those nature off of the guns. We have at least 20 guns. I don't know that all 20 of these were involved in the robbery, or if some of them were seized as part of a search warrant. As the court may or may not know, and I'm sure the court probably does, but there was a shooting incident that resulted in a search warrant, and some of these guns may have been taken as a part of that search warrant. I don't, Mr. Watts, the defendant's father, did provide a list that was part of the initial discovery, I believe. And so I think that Mr. Attorney Watts did get that. I will resend this list that has the model numbers in case Mr. Watts didn't get that, and he can forward that to the defendant again, so that we make sure that he's got that. But I thought I had emailed that to him, but that may not be. I'll just redo it just so we make sure that we have it. And there's 20 something guns on it, and I have model numbers off of those. So I'll just resend that to Mr. James R. Watts, attorney, and he can forward that to the defendant.
Okay, I don't know anything about a search warrant. I never received any search warrant. Where's that? I never received any information on how things went down after I allowed myself to be shot at the Leon Bank.
Are there search warrants that are part of this case, or is that part of a different case?
It's a different case, Your Honor. Those were conducted through the sheriff's office as well as the KBI as an investigation officer involved shooting.
All right. Well, Defendant Watts, it sounds like the state has provided to your standby counsel the discovery that they have, and he's stated here that he's forwarded to you what he has. So if there's other things that you're wanting to get, obviously you're representing yourself. That makes it a little more difficult to obtain those. We're trying to filter what it is that you're needing, and if it's something that the court can do, we'll look into it. But a lot of this stuff is things that are up to you to try to produce. So,
like I said, I'll try the subpoenas. I've never, just for normal evidence, I had evidence delivered to me up at Chase County years ago. Didn't need subpoenas for everything there. But anyway, I'll go ahead and well, my parents aren't asking for stuff. They're old and might forget and don't get around very well at all. So asking them for stuff, I don't know. It takes them. When I asked my mother for the bank records showing my cash on hand, she said it'd take her a long time to get that. She wasn't in the shape to just go down and get it, that it would take her a while to locate the tub they're in, the plastic tote they're in, and then to get them out and get them copied. She said weeks. So I don't know how long it'll take them, but I'll see. She's about the subpoenas too, but it's going to take time. I haven't, like I said, I haven't had, for just this type of evidence, I haven't had to do subpoenas.
right. And the last motion that I have here that I showed we have not addressed is a motion for me to be provided a full and accurate transcript of the preliminary hearing and the hearing of all motions prior to the preliminary hearing of October 1st, 2024 by October 25th, 2024 or before. transcripts aren't generally produced in all cases. As a matter of course, they're expensive. If you have the funds to pay for a transcript, you can obtain those, but they're just not produced for free and given out.
They were at Chase County on my cases up there. I absolutely received preliminary hearing transcripts without paying for them or so on and so forth.
Well, this was a case in which you were present at the preliminary hearing. There are circumstances in which the court will order that a transcript be produced, but it has to be paid for. And if you have the funds to pay for the transcript and want to get it, that's up to you. But I'm not going to order it that it be produced, as it was a hearing that you were present at.
Yeah, but I need it in case people are going to commit perjury or lie, whatever. So I'll have it, and I need to go through it and just see whether it gets transcribed properly.
That brings us back to the motion to continue the trial, and I'm not inclined to grant the continuance of the trial. This case has been ongoing now for a very long time. I think it's the oldest case that I've got on my docket, and it needs to be tried.
We'll be going for jury nullification. I have that right. You're just playing around. I told you before when you did this continuance, I went and get my evidence, and you said we would address the motions later. Now you aren't giving me the time to.
We're addressing your motions, Mr. Watts.
Okay, I can't do the subpoenas in the time you're giving me now.
Well, I'm not at this time continuing the trial. We've got another court date, a pretrial conference scheduled. I believe that is January 31st at 9 o'clock. Jury trial is scheduled to begin February the 4th. So,
Your Honor, if I may,
go ahead.
I've mentioned this to Mr. Watts before. If Mr. Watts would provide me, either by letter or I can come out the jail, a specific list of who he wants to subpoena and what documents he seeks, I can put those subpoenas in the appropriate form and send them out.
And you wouldn't get around to them right away, probably.
Well, if you could get to that sooner rather than later, Attorney Watts, that would be appreciated.
I'd like to know also, I forgot to mention, I'd like to know the cost of the transcript too, for that preliminary hearing.
Judge, I have no idea what the cost is. Typically, they're $200 to $400. It depends on the length of the hearing, of course, but I really don't know what it would cost.
Now, my parents, they'll refuse to give me the money to get that, and I have money coming in. So what do I do in that situation?
Well, I think maybe we can look and see how much it would cost, but again, I think it will, they'd have to look and see how long it was. Would we have a couple hours in the prelim?
I believe so, Judge.
So, all right, Mr. Defendant Watts, are there any other motions you feel that the court has not addressed that you filed?
Oh, you've addressed them satanically, but you've addressed them. But, it's just denying me evidence. God does not allow that at all. I don't care what the deal is. Nobody gets denied their evidence.
All right, Ms. Pierce,
They're in
anything
jail
else?
or prison or anywhere.
Anything else from the state, Ms. Pierce?
No, Your Honor.
Attorney Watts, anything else?
No, Your Honor. And James, I will be happy to come out to the jail.
I've got cell phones. There was a deal on cell phones.
Tomorrow, if you can have a list of the items that you want sought and the persons who would have them, I will attempt to get a subpoena out to do that.
See, what you're going to do is, I'm not going to get the evidence until probably, if I get it at all, the day before trial or something that I can't prepare. It looks like it's jury nullification. I'm just going to pound that in.
All right. If there's nothing further, we'll be in recess.
Okay, let's do our final recap analysis, all right? So 1, as you already saw in the beginning, 2 years worth of motions, a lot of them. 25 is a lot, okay? And he keeps the court going in circles about things that he just randomly brings up, these random conversations that he has that the judge has to redirect him. But the judge is like, no, we moving forward though. Okay. Now, 2, I noticed he had a competency exam. Those things are private, so I'm not able to get my eyes on them. But assuming that he has standby counsel and he's still representing himself, he must have been found competent. Despite what you see, have the trial anyway, or represent himself. I'm hoping we can get to see that trial too, because that's going to be interesting to see how he acts. I'm sure he's going to keep trying to delay. But even with some of the motions, I'm trying to remember a couple. One of them, he filed a motion for better food because he didn't like the food at the jail. Okay. Then he was asking for bank records. Then it was so many things that he asked for that was just totally off the wall. He even filed a motion so he can talk to his parents. I can't remember them all. I hope you have a great day, evening or night, and check me out on the next video. All right, I'm out.